second part here. Thank you so much for coming on again, man. I really do appreciate it. And I really wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk with me today, man. Especially about something so personal like this, because it's one of those things that a lot of people they're not willing to discuss. And for you to take the time and to be willing to discuss something so personal to you, in order to help other people. Even though, I mean, this is really, I really would like to like kind of strike a little bit of fear into people and let them know that this is serious, and you don't want to end up with one of these. um,
Certainly don't want to end up with three of them.
yeah, exactly. So you
Yeah.
got the second one, and you refused the blow on that. Sounds like the third one was a pretty bad one, if
Now,
I'm
that was the one where I was coming back from the golf course again.
okay.
All this seems to go down, and there was a highway patrolman that had somebody pulled over on the. And I spoke about this in our last talk. He had somebody pulled over on the side of the road, and the law, it used to be a courtesy pretty much to move over, to yield to
Yeah,
I guess it would be the inside lane.
yeah.
I just went bolting past him. I wasn't speeding, but I mean, he didn't. I don't know if he even finished what he was doing with the person he had pulled over. But he was on. It was weird because he was. I moved over. Well, I stayed in that outside lane, and then I looked in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, oh no. But he was on the inside lane and had his lights on, and I'm, thinking, well, is he after me? I don't think he's after him. Well, maybe he is after me. But I just kept going. And I mentioned in the last time we talked that he jumped in right behind me, but that's not what happened. He stayed in that inside lane, and I was just there was a ditch full of weeds and cattails and water. I didn't want to pull the truck over that. I was afraid I'd go down into it. So I went down probably, I don't know, maybe half a mile, less than maybe three-quarters of a mile. There was a food line up on the right. So I went ahead and pulled in there, and he pulls in behind me and knocks on the glass. I roll the window down, and he, with one arm, well, he kicked the door open with his foot, and with one arm ripped me out of the seat and slammed me face first onto the hood and cuffed me. I mean, it
So
was like that. And he says, "Why are you running from me?" He says, "Didn't you see me?" I said, "Well, you weren't directly behind me, and I didn't want to go off, down into that ditch." He's like, "Well, you see those lights? You pull over." I said, "I wasn't running from you. I was just looking for a safe place to pull over." So he kind of calmed down a little bit, and there were beer cans. I hadn't been drinking in the car, but there were some old, like, two beer cans in the passenger floorboard.
okay.
And he looked at that, and I was just like, God, here we go again. Why do you do this? So he gave me a nice ride down to the magistrate, the police station here in town, and I did blow on that one.
Did
And
he
I
did
can't,
he do a road sobriety test, or did he just see those open containers and that was
uh,
it?
but I've never been manhandled like that guy in my life. He was a black guy. I knew he had been because I'd seen him at air shows, and he was at least 6'7",
Wow.
just a monster. And he was a reservist in the Marine Corps because I had seen him directing traffic and stuff during the air shows. They call him Officer Tall, and he was just big. That he tore me out of that car with one hand, and I'd never been manhandled like that. But he kind of calmed down, like, once he took me to the station, and I blew, and then my folks had to come get me. I don't remember what the bond was, but I wasn't jailed.
So you didn't go to jail that go around?
No, I think it is paid some money, and or he released me on my own recognizance. I think that's what it was. See, none of this stuff would happen today. I don't think they would look at your record and go, it would just be bad. Your bond would just keep going up and up and up, or maybe even on a second DWI, you're going to have to go to prison for 30, 6 months or something. Excuse me, I have no idea what the law is now. I don't want to know.
Did you have
But
a
it's
license? Did you have your license back when you got pulled over that third time?
Yeah, I had a license.
I know that in my state, because I have a guy that I used to be friends with. He actually one of the restaurants that I used to work at. He came and begged me for a job after he had gotten out of prison, because he had to get a job.
Right.
And he had gone to prison for multiple DUIs. And actually, I think he had four, and ended up doing like 2 years in prison because of it, and can never, excuse me, never have a
Right.
license in this state ever again because of it.
Now, let me back up on that first DWI. I got probation too. I was on probation. Or
Wow.
no, it was the second one. They put me on probation.
How long was that for?
A year.
And what did that entail?
I was living in Wilmington. Well, it happened. I moved from Greenville because I graduated from ECU and decided to move back here for a little while. Then I moved back to Wilmington, and I had to transfer probation officers, and the probation officer I had in Greenville was so close to retirement, he didn't care anymore. So he rarely came to the house. I think he came to visit me twice, and I wasn't drinking. The guy in Wilmington they transferred me to, he was kind of a, he was pretty hard. And I think one night he showed up and I'd been drinking, and I would have probably gone to jail. I mean, I was trying to stand as far back away from him as I could. I didn't want him. He didn't visit that much either. I mean, I didn't give him that much reason to come check on me. I mean, I'm not, aside from DWIs, I've never been in trouble.
So when you're on probation, they can just show up at your house at any given time unannounced. And
Yep.
when they show up at your house, what do they do?
They just ask you questions. How you been doing? I need to see you maybe in 3 weeks. You have to go to the probation office.
When they show up at your house, are they checking to see if you've been drinking or anything like that? So it's basically like a checkup to make sure that you're not drinking, because I'm guessing that part of your probation is no drinking, no using drugs or anything like that, and they're checking for that.
It was. It didn't stop me. And when I was in Greenville before I transferred to the other in Wilmington, I didn't drink at all. I think I had a pretty good dry spell there for a while because
Okay.
that probation officer was nice as could be. I went and saw him, and we were kind of first name basis and everything. He told me, before I left, he hadn't given me any problem.
Wow.
I was like, well, I just did all this, and there's so much fallout, people, from these DWIs. You have no the thought, just the complexity and the fallout. I said that right.
Yeah.
Just the situations, and just the possible job loss. You can't drive. You limit yourself to what you can do employment wise, and we can get into that. I'll tell you about that.
Well, let's get into let's finish talking about that third DWI if you don't mind, and let's get into that if you don't after we discuss that. So you got pulled over by that police officer. He yanked you out of the car, took you down to the station. They did a breathalyzer, and what did you blow that time?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
He gave me two shots at it though, and I came up a winner.
So you
Unfortunately,
so you blew, and then they basically let you out on your own accord. Did you have to pay anything to get out of jail that time?
I never went to jail. I was released on my own recognizance.
What did it end up being fine wise for that DWI?
I don't remember.
I would imagine a couple $1,000.
Probably. I
Did,
mean, the dollar amount just kept getting worse and worse.
did you have to get an attorney and all that stuff for that time?
Yep.
So you have to pay an attorney
And
fee, you gotta pay the fines. Did you have to go through probation and community service and all that stuff for that one?
see, I'd already retained my lawyer, the best in New Bern, on the one that hadn't gone to court yet because I got that
Oh,
third one. I had one pending, and then
oh.
got another one, and then the lawyer looked at me like I was looked like at me like I was Sanskrit.
So you
You
already
know,
had a
I
pending
can't read this
DUI.
person. This guy is like out of control. You know, it was just because he wanted me to go with a disposable camera and take pictures of where that police officer wanted me to pull over.
Yeah.
He was trying to maybe get me off on some kind of technicality, like, well, he pulled over. I don't know what he did, but he didn't like it when he found out I got another one.
I'm sure he didn't. You just made his chances of helping you beat that basically nil at that point. So what ended up happening with having a pending DUI, then getting another DUI in the process? What ended up being the end result for all that?
Well, I hadn't driven, so I just used my scooter. Like I had a Honda Metropolitan that looks like a
A
Vespa.
Vespa? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if I was gonna have to ride a liquor sickle, I was gonna ride it in style. So I paid 4,000 for that thing, and it's broken up, and it needs to be repaired, or either that or I'm gonna maybe get another one. But I think I've got a pretty good chance of getting my license back, like it within maybe a year and a half.
So since that period of time, you haven't gotten your license back since 2014. Was it 2000? No,
I
2005.
In 2008, I had a license restoration hearing, and it was in Wilmington, and you have three witnesses go in, all this stuff, and everybody told me on the first one, you're they're not going to give you your license back, and that's exactly what happened. So 2008, I was denied, and then just kept drinking, just didn't care about not having a license. I was just catching rides. I mean, Uber wasn't even around then. I was
Yeah.
taking cabs and bumming rides, and how hitchhiked a couple of times. I mean, it's just the whole shebang of what happens after this smoke clears from doing this irresponsible stuff out on the road is just it's mind-boggling.
So you have not had a formal driver's license since for basically 20 years?
Something well close. I had
Wow.
now I did win a license restoration hearing, and I want to say 2015. They gave it back to me with an interlock, a license interlock, the blow and go.
Okay. And how did that work out?
I was still drinking, and for some stupid reason, and I'm going to get slayed in the comments, probably just how dumb is this guy? Well, he's pretty damn dumb. Oh, but he, I got my witnesses. I got the conditional. I had even if I get my license back, I'll have to have that interlock on my car for 7 years. So I'll be pushing 60. I don't know. It'll be. I don't like just don't like thinking about it.
Yeah.
I know I gotta get on this um, as soon as possible, but I want to wait and go see the lawyer maybe about another 2 months, just so I can say, because I'm coming up on 5 months since that last relapse. What's the day? 19th to the 23rd. I'll have 5 months. I
Congratulations,
haven't
man.
done anything. So, but I get that blow and go, and for some reason, I woke up in the middle of the night. I've been drinking the night before, and I wanted to check and see. And you're not supposed to. You get in trouble for blowing into this thing, and it registers. You have to go, and they download the data to see how many times. I mean, the car about every 10 minutes you got to blow into it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
or it'll stop. If you refuse to blow, then it violates. If you're rolling and you fail, you're really in trouble.
Oh,
Because that would
wow.
mean like you're drinking or having somebody else blow for you. You get caught doing that. Some states have cameras, like on the sample head, is what they call it. So, they know who's blowing and who's not. Mine didn't have a camera on it, but
Okay.
I just made the mistake of checking to see if I was intoxicated. If I was going to play that game, I should have had a handheld breathalyzer. And if I drank something, I blew into it, and I registered alcohol, do not go near that car.
Yeah.
I violated it that time, and then I think I had one other violation, a warning, because people can have. They say not to eat a sandwich or anything where it causes fermentation in your mouth because
Okay.
trace alcohol amounts will register like a warning, or sometimes it'll register a fail. But my dad uh, had to use the car one day, and he got it. He wears like long sleeve shirts in the summertime because he's worried about getting skin cancer. He didn't have long sleeve shirts on that day, so he had sunblock on both arms and on his neck and on his in his beard right here. So when he got in, there was alcohol in that sunblock, and it failed. It failed me.
Wow.
And I didn't get a letter from the DMV saying surrender my license. And a week later, after that failed, it was July of 2018, I got a letter from the DMV saying surrender your license, your conditional license. And I had to turn the unit in. And it's like $300 a month to have those things. They're not cheap. So that's more of the, consequences of drinking and driving. It's bad.
So you have to pay a monthly fee just to have that device in your vehicle, and it's
And
300.
if
Wow.
I remember correctly, you've got to actually, when they download all the data that shows every single time you blew. It's just a page, 2, 3, or 4 pages of data. Like you would have to go once a month to have this. They download it from the sample head or whatever. And there were high fails. High fails, usually the DMV see a high fail, it means you've got alcohol in your system. But my dad registered a high fail. I was sober. He got locked. The thing locks. Like if you have a high blood alcohol level as a high fail, I had to come. This is the irony. I had to come outside and blow into the car to unlock it.
Wow.
But that's still on me. His fail.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that triggered. All right, we were giving that guy a chance, whatever. Maybe we are going to let it slide. Look at this. He did it again, and it wasn't me. If the sample head had a camera on it, that would have kind of absolved me from that one. So I don't know. When I do the DMV hearing again, I'm just going to lay it all out.
So you had the device, so they took it out of your vehicle after that last fail that happened with your dad.
They sent me a letter saying that I had to take it back to the company that handled all that, and they just took it out.
And
Now I couldn't drive at all. If I were to get in the car and get pulled over, I'd be driving while revoked.
so that basically set you back after having that one where your dad blew in there, and now you've got to go to court in order to get your license.
It wouldn't be court. It would be a DM. You go to the DMV and you go in front of a hearing officer.
Okay, so you have to have a hearing in order to
Right.
just to get your license back now.
Yep.
Is there
You
like a
pay,
fine that you have to pay up front?
no, I don't think it works that way. You may have to pay a fee for the hearing officer to hear your case, and then you take 3 witnesses in, and they take them in, interview them one at a time to see if all their stories match up, and then they make a decision.
So in order for you to get a license, and I would imagine if you get a license again, it's going to be one of those ones where you can just drive to work and the doctor's office, and or you'll get a regular license this go around.
The interlock goes back on.
So you have to get the interlock in for 7 years. Wow. And for every month that you have that in your vehicle, you have to pay like $300 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I've got money saved. I'm just saving all my money. So I don't have any kids. I live here right now. Um, it was food or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to leech off of anybody. I couldn't move back into my old apartment because it was already rented out. So I just stuff all my money in the bank.
So you're just
Right
basically getting
now,
ready to get that interlock back on.
yeah, I mean, it's limit the whole thing, and I want viewers to know that you keep paying. There's always some other consequence. You pay money and you pay, and your employment opportunities are not there. Like I do this reporting job part time, and I have another part time job, the retail job. There's a chance I will go with a reporting job where I'll be getting almost 30 hours. So if that goes through, that'll be good because I've been doing this job remotely from here for a newspaper that's an hour away.
Okay.
So I quit that because I had some issues with the editor, but he's gone. He took another job somewhere else. So I'm back in under a different person who I like a lot better. Just so much easier to deal with.
So what has have having the DUIs or DWIs is that has kept you from employment or either got you fired from somewhere before?
It never got me fired, but it impacted jobs that I was on the cusp of getting until I mentioned that I couldn't drive.
So they also when you told them that you couldn't drive, they're like, oh, never mind.
Well, it's not. They're not going to tell you why they don't hire you.
Yeah, but you just didn't get the job, and you imagine
I
that's
just
why.
didn't get the job. Now, the one time I went to Kinston, uh, actually, the paper that I work for now was under a different publisher, and I went there for an interview. And I just blew the interview out of the water, and the publisher he goes, let me introduce you around everybody here. And I'm like, man, you're about to get this job. Why did you do this? You're going to have to tell them that you don't have a driver's license. My dad's out. He had taken me to his interview, and I'm like, well, I might as well give it a shot and see what happens. But his jaw hit the floor when I told him that I didn't have a license.
Oh wow.
It was like, I just apologized and said, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I didn't know what would happen. I probably should have stopped this interview and just told you because it's not fair to you. It sucked.
I would imagine so, man. I mean, that's put a lot of heartache in your life, and then on top of it, like you said, when you do get your license back, you have to have that blow device for 7 years. I mean, just sitting here doing the math in my head, if it's $300 a month, I mean that's like $3,600, almost $4,000 a year. I mean, at the end of all of this, I mean, you're looking at almost $30,000 that you're gonna pay to have that device. Eh, I mean, that's a car payment.
Yeah, I got some contingency plans for that though.
Wow, that's a
Eventually,
lot of money.
it is, and I did it all to myself.
And then not to mention just the hassle of dealing with it, and not to mention just every 10 minutes having to blow into this thing just to keep the vehicle running. I mean, good Lord, that's just got to be such a pain in the neck. And then
It
on
was, but I was glad to be able to drive. It was, you get used to it.
what I
It just
imagine so.
it just makes a noise, and you got to pick it up, blow, and you have to hum when you blow, like that, and then it'll pop. It'll make this popping sound, and then you can keep going. It doesn't shut your car off. if you didn't blow, it would shut the car. You wouldn't be able to turn the key. Well, the key engine wouldn't turn over.
Well, and the thing is that all the other stuff that you have to consider as well. Let's say that you're going to go pick up a date, and this is the first date. You're going to go pick somebody up, and then next thing you know, you're like, where you want to go out to eat, and they're like, oh, I don't care. Let's go here or there, and it's a 15-minute drive, and halfway down the road, you're not to mention humming into this thing, and I mean that's got to be embarrassing to have to do.
Yeah,
Um,
they've got these things that look like a McDonald's cup that you can put the sample head inside, so it looks like you're drinking a drink like that.
really,
Yeah,
huh? Is that like something aftermarket that you buy, or is?
it's like just something. Yeah, it's something to make it a little less embarrassing. But I mean, I haven't had any trouble hanging out with girls.
Oh, I'm
I
not
mean,
saying that, but it's still at the same time. I mean, it's just got to be kind of embarrassing to have to blow into that as you're driving down the road if you do pick somebody up. I mean, I'm just saying all the things that you wouldn't think about, all the problems that are going to come along with having one of these things. I mean, it just causes so many issues. Uh,
yeah, I never had. I wasn't dating anybody for like a long time. Where that ever became where they got in the car and then I had to do that. So it was just me driving around.
yeah,
Maybe one or two friends that knew about it. It was no big deal. If there had been a girl I had to go pick up or something, yeah, I would tell her in advance. I would just say, look, I got this on my car. It's embarrassing. Just pretend like you didn't see it,
yeah.
or something. I would let her know ahead of time.
That's a lot. That's a lot to have to deal with, man. I mean, probation, community service, all the money that you got to pay, dealing with attorney fees, going to court. I mean, it's not just money that's involved in this. There's a lot of your time that gets wrapped up in this as well, just dealing with all of the court hearings and going in front of the DMV officer to see about getting your license reinstated and all the paperwork that you have to fill out. Because I would imagine that there is just stacks and stacks of paperwork that you have to fill out. I mean, it's just time, money, uh, embarrassment. I mean, there's so much stuff involved in this. I mean, it's just something that you just don't want to have to end up dealing with, and it's easily avoidable. You know,
You
don't
used to
don't
see
drink and
those
drive.
bumper stickers that said, a cab is a lot cheaper than a DWI.
Yeah, I mean,
Or Uber or whatever, don't drink and drive. Don't do like I'm not the same person that I was, you know, that long ago. Then I was just carefree. I didn't care. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
oh yeah,
And later, as you get older and wiser, you can't go back in a time machine. You wish you could, get in a time machine to go back and tell yourself, your younger self, don't do this.
yeah.
All it takes, not one, not two, but three. I mean, that's inexcusable. So you reap what you sow, and unfortunately, it's something I got to live with.
I hate that you have to deal with that, man, but at the same time, I'm glad that you're here talking about it because, I want people to understand the repercussions that come along with this. And, the thing is, too, is that not only drinking and driving can you end up getting in trouble, but, you could get into a car accident, you could hurt somebody, you could potentially take somebody's life, drinking and driving. And I've known people, a lot of people, unfortunately, that are no longer here because they were intoxicated and driving and crashed their cars. Um, right down the road from where I live right now, a good friend of mine, this was probably 15 years ago, was drunk and was driving. And there's a stop sign, and the road comes to a dead end, and it tees off onto another road. And there's a bunch of big oak trees right at the end of that road, and he was so intoxicated. I guess he was going so fast that he forgot there was a stop sign there, and ran right through that stop sign and went head first into these big oak trees and lost his life. Had two kids, um, and he's gone now. And he
Yeah,
had
there was.
two little boys that don't have their father now. And the thing is that those little boys are very troubled. Um, I actually used to live next door to them, and they were getting into a lot of trouble back then. And they lost their dad, and I'm sure that probably is part of what's going on with them. So I mean, just the repercussions of this don't affect just the person. I mean,
Oh, it affects everything.
it
Everything.
it affects the whole community. The friends and the family and just everybody gets affected by it.
I met a guy at a in a meeting. He had killed somebody drunk, and he did several years in prison. I think he goes around as like a speaker, you know, telling his story, and he goes to jails and prisons and tells his story and all that. I mean, knowing that he's got to live with that he took somebody's life because he was drunk.
Yeah, uh,
May have been blind drunk, then sobers up, and it's like, what have I done? I mean,
yeah.
I'd probably I couldn't live with myself. I really couldn't. If I knew I had done something like that, and I was lucky. If there's anything that came out of it that was positive, is that I never hit anybody on the road, or I didn't hit their car, because I was never that intoxicated. But that doesn't let me off the hook. It's even being mildly intoxicated, you can still just.
Yeah. And
I've
it
been in cars with people that have been tipsy, and they're crossing over and ran over a curb, and I'm like, man, I better get out of this car.
Oh,
So I've
I've
seen.
talked about it on here before, but I rarely ever drink and drive. But there was a couple times where I did it, and I was so intoxicated, I had to put one hand over one eye so I could see because I was seeing double. How I got home, I don't know.
I came back from the beach one night, and that's what happened. I was seeing double, and I did the same thing. I had to put my hand over one of my. I think I put it on my left eye, and then just drove like this.
I will
It's
say,
terrible. It's weird, man. When you're seeing double.
oh, I know. I will say this much: my old boss back in the day got a DUI. Um, he was down at the coast at one of the restaurants. He was the district manager for this restaurant chain that I worked for, and he had been down at the coast. He lived in Columbia, but was down at the coast at one of his restaurants, checking up on him. And that night, he took the general manager of that restaurant out to have some drinks, and they ended up getting really drunk. Well, he went to leave to go home, and was driving intoxicated and decided, okay, I'm way too drunk to be driving right now. I'm just going to pull over and sleep this off. So he pulls over into a parking lot and turns the car off and decides just to go to sleep, and he's going to wake up the next morning and then drive home. Well, he left the keys in the vehicle, had the keys in the ignition, but the car was turned off.
I
And
knew that was coming. I
and
knew that was
a
coming.
police officer came up, knocked on the window. Hey, what are you doing here? And he told him, man, I went to leave, realized I've had too much drink. I decided that I need to just sleep this off and, be responsible and then drive back the next day. And since he had the keys in the ignition, they pulled him out of the vehicle, did a sobriety test on him, took him down to the police station. He blew like, I don't remember what it was, but super high, and he ended up getting a DUI just because the keys were in the ignition. So, one thing is if you do decide that you're just gonna like sit in the parking lot of a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and you're not going to drive and you're just going to try to sleep it off, take the keys out of the ignition and like throw them on the floorboard or something. Don't leave them in the ignition because that will potentially get you in trouble if they're in the ignition at all, even if the car isn't running.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening to people.
It's crazy. People
Yeah.
try to be responsible and don't drive, but and go just sit in their car, and then just because the keys are in there. I've heard stories of people like it's really cold outside and they're just sitting in a parking lot with the car running, trying to stay warm, and they get a DUI because the car's running. So you got to be careful of that kind of stuff. If you are gonna just sit in your vehicle, just make sure you don't have the keys in the ignition because that can get you in trouble as well. But
Yeah, like you said, the engine doesn't even have to be running. Those keys are in that ignition.
yeah, yeah,
Take no prisoners on that. They've gotten so strict. I mean, it scares me. Like what happened to people if this had happened to me now.
yeah, absolutely.
But
Well, we're
it's
here at 35 minutes right now, so we only got a couple more minutes here. Um, Want to give you an opportunity, just a couple minutes, just to steer everybody towards your channel. You know, once again, I really appreciate you coming on to discuss these DWIs today, and just let everybody know, what can happen if you get one of these. But tell everybody about your channel, where to go to check it out, and uh, I just want to give you an opportunity to talk about your socials and all that kind of stuff.
sure you can find me at Shades of Clarity on YouTube. If you want to Google it, Google Shades O apostrophe Clarity channel, and then my face like this will show up. That's my picture. Yeah, I'm at like 504 subscribers now. I don't know why it won't. I can't get it above, up. It just seems to have slowed down. So, come over, check the channel out. If you like what you see, please subscribe and like. Um, I thought, let's see. I am on Instagram, but if there's not a lot of following on there, I think I got 72 followers on there, and it's basically just my shorts. I've just transferred my shorts over there.
Okay. And
But if
what's
not,
that? What's your Instagram?
shades underscore o underscore clarity. I
Are
think
there
that's the
links? Are there links to your Instagram
there.
on your videos? Okay.
Yeah, there's links in the description of
Well,
my channel.
guys, please go check out Shades O Clarity on YouTube, and please subscribe to his channel. I really would like to try to help build his channel up and get some more subscribers over there. Really want
Please,
to. Please
please.
go subscribe. Really want to see Shades get to 1,000 subscribers. That's our goal. And
That's the goal.
Shades is a good friend of mine, and I really would like to see his channel grow some more. And I would really appreciate it if you guys would just hop over there, subscribe to his channel, and just check out some of his videos. He's got some really good stuff on there. He does do some like humorous videos and stuff like that, which are really hilarious. He does his little chats with the devil and all that kind of stuff. So please go check out his channel. He's got some really interesting information on there, and I would really appreciate it. It'd be a favor.